So I don't know if many people know about this matchup or not, but the trilogy bout between Benson Henderson and Anthony Pettis is going down this weekend. That's right. This is a fight that is happening. We are going to see the trilogy bout. But there is a twist. This isn't going to be an MMA fight between Benson Henderson and Anthony Pettis. It's not going to be a boxing match either. It's not going to be bare knuckle. It's not going to be kickboxing. It's a karate combat fight. So that makes things pretty interesting, I'd say. Benson Henderson, I guess he technically retired from MMA, but he got right back into having another fight. You can never take the fighter out of the dog, and you can never take the dog out of the fight. And these guys are dogs. They love to fight. And it is interesting to see this fight at this point because respectfully, they are older fighters at this point in time. So obviously, they're not in their prime. Let's just say they're not in their prime anymore. Like that, it's not a lie to say that. These guys are definitely uh, past their primes. But we had fun fights between these two. They had two fights. They had one in the WEC, and they had one in the UFC, and now they're going back at it in karate combat. So they're fighting everywhere. As we know, Anthony Pettis has beat Benson Henderson twice. But in that second fight, he did sub Benson Henderson, so I guess that makes it interesting. He won't be subbing Benson Henderson this time around. And apparently, he's going to try and repeat the Showtime kick off the karate pit. So that'll be interesting to see if he can try. Maybe we get an Anthony Pettis freak injury, like a fucking minute into the fight, because he tries to jump off the karate pit and ends up dislocating his toe or something. Just knowing Anthony Pettis' luck, he seems to break a bone. He seems to break his hands, his knuckles, and his rib in almost every fight he has nowadays. So it would not surprise me if we did get a freak injury here from Anthony Pettis jumping off the karate pit. But I'm going in there with the thought process that is not going to happen in this fight, even though there is probably a good likelihood somehow Anthony Pettis is going to get injured. But, in a karate combat match, Anthony Pettis, obviously Taekwondo background, very similar to karate combat, or karate I should say, but even then it doesn't even matter about having a karate background, a Taekwondo background, because you have fucking Sam Alvey fighting for the championship also on this card. So, does it really matter at the end of the day if you have a karate background or not? Anthony, I don't think Sam Alvey's ever taken a fucking karate class in his life. He's literally just a guy who has a pullback counter. So, and he got a win. So I don't think it really matters too much, if we're being honest, if you have a karate background or not. It's pretty much like a kickboxing fight, but you're allowed to hit on the ground for like 5 or 10 seconds. And I'm gonna go with Anthony Pettis. I feel like he is in a better spot at the moment in his career. I know Benson Henderson did have a win over Peter Queally, but like Peter Queally is just isn't very good. Like he's not very good, if we're being honest. He's lost like every fight since. And his last win, I'm pretty sure, was that weird fight with Patricky Pitbull where he got like a doctor stoppage where he was getting beat up, and then he ended up getting fucking destroyed by Patricky Pitbull in the rematch. So it's like, are we really counting any of this like as an actual win? There's a big asterisk there. And then Anthony Pettis, he's not looking too hot either. But hey, he did beat Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match. Roy Jones Jr. is fucking like 60 years old though, so that is a massive asterisk there. But hey, he won. At the end of the day, he beat Roy Jones Jr. in a boxing match. So I mean, you got to give him that at least. But yeah, still obviously a big asterisk there. And he had that back and forth war with Clay Collard though. I mean, it wasn't super back and forth until the last round, but I just think at this point in their careers, they're both obviously way past their primes. But I do think if we're going to look at it objectively, I think Anthony Pettis is in a better spot at this time. He's already beat Benson Henderson while in his prime, and I guess you could say even before his prime, maybe in the WEC that was before his prime. So honestly, you got to go with Anthony Pettis in this point in time. Like, how old is Benson Henderson? Well, I'm pretty sure he's a bit older, 40. So he's older than Anthony Pettis by 4 years. Coming off a few losses I didn't even think he beat Islam Mamedov, if we're being honest, but still, it was competitive. But that's still a completely different stylistic matchup. That's a grappler. That you're not going to get that in karate combat. I don't. We're not going to see Anthony Pettis offensively wrestle his way to victory here. Uh, Michael Chandler brutally KO'd him, but that's Michael Chandler. He does hit harder than Anthony Pettis. But still, you just got to factor in everything here. Anthony Pettis is younger. His losses to Stevie Ray was to grappling and to a twister. He arguably beat Rash Manfio, if I remember that fight correctly. He beat the fucking brakes off Alex Morono, and that was just a striking fight, pretty much. The only time he had an iffy moment was when he got taken down. So his striking's still good. I'd say he's not in his prime, obviously. We all know Anthony Pettis is a bit washed, but at the very least, the man can still strike, and I think he's going to get this one done. Karate combat, I feel like it favors him. Or honestly, I feel like this really does favor him. Plus, he's already beat, like I say, he's beat Benson Henderson twice before. And now, he's older, but Benson Henderson's even older. And he's taken some damage. Legendary chin Benson Henderson has. But, he did get brutally cracked by Chandler. He's just taken a lot of damage in these fights. And he's just, yeah, you can just tell there's been a big fall off. I don't know. I feel like this fight might be a bit sad, though, if I'm being honest, because both of these guys really aren't in their peak. But I think Anthony Pettis is like, I think he's in a little bit juicing. Like he looked fucking massive against Roy Jones Jr. I think that fight was like 190 or something. He looked fucking shredded. What even weight class is this fight at? Actually, that's actually a good question. I don't even. It's hard to get information about karate combat. Let's see, does it say the weight class? No, it doesn't say what... Does not say what weight classes is in. Oh, well, that's very interesting. There's got to be something where it has the weight class, like... Well, no idea what these two are going to be weighing in at, so thanks for that karate combat. Uh, so that's interesting to know. Let's see the MMA fighting headline. Surely that will have. Oh, okay, so 170 pounds, which is crazy to think about because, like I say, Anthony Pettis looked fucking massive against Roy Jones Jr. He looked like he had been lifting the weights, you know, eating his vegetables, taking his vitamins, and fucking praying to the Lord Almighty to get big and strong like Hulk Hogan. Definitely no steroids or no enhancement or anything. It's not a coincidence that Anthony Pettis has just randomly built up a bunch of muscle at 36 years of age, past his peak prime. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, but still, I'm not actually saying he's definitely on anything, but I'm just saying it is a bit of a weird coincidence that at this point in his career he's bulking up fucking extremely quickly. But I don't know. But still, he looked massive against Roy Jones Jr. 170, I'd still say benefits him because he is a lot bigger. I think he does better at this weight class. I think, and it's a take I'm going to keep saying, I don't even think he's that washed. I just think lightweight is not advisable for him at this point. I just think he's a shit lightweight at this point. We've seen Anthony Pettis look really good against Alex Morono. He looked good. And then, he was looking shit in his lightweight fights. Goes up to welterweight, knocks out Wonderboy. He does lose to Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz is just stylistically a tough matchup for him. Like, come on, like Nate Diaz, pressure fighter. Anthony Pettis doesn't deal with pressure. Same sort of thing as Edson Barboza. Like, I'm not going to hold that against him too much. That, at welterweight, he is actually a beast. Like, he has a good strength of schedule at welterweight. Beat Wonderboy Thompson, KO'd Wonderboy, like the only person to KO Wonderboy. Like, that is fucking impressive. And then obviously beat the fucking brakes off Alex Morono. Beat Alex Morono, like, he dropped him, he rocked him, like I don't know, I think he's so much better at welterweight. I hope when he returns to the PFL he just fights at welterweight, because as a welterweight, Anthony Pettis is so much better, in my opinion. At this point in his career, obviously in his prime and everything, much better lightweight. somehow was a featherweight as well. But I think that lightweight weight cut's just a bit too hard for him at this point. I just think he looks a lot better, healthier at welterweight. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Anthony Pettis to get this one done. Uh, I'm gonna go decision though. You know, both of these guys aren't really finishing anyone. He does have a triangle finish against Miles Price, but like Miles Price doesn't have the greatest ground game, and that is in MMA. You know, no submissions in karate combat to the best of my knowledge. Maybe they'll introduce that, and then this will completely have nothing fucking different from MMA. But I'm gonna say Anthony Pettis gets this one done by decision over Benson Henderson, or maybe Benson Henderson gets his revenge. Be interesting to see though what this means. Like, is Benson Henderson going to be fighting with Karate Combat moving forward? Is that just going to is that what he's going to do now, or is this just a one-off for both of them? Like, I'm not quite sure the story here. I think Anthony Pettis is still with the PFL, to the best of my knowledge, because he was calling out Cedric Doumbé. So I don't even have a clue, but I don't mind it. I think it'll be cool. It's a good, like, it's not an exhibition, but it is a cool little showcase. I'll probably make a video on some of the other fights that interest me on this card as well. But yeah, it should be a good card. Good. It's a pretty good week this week for like combat sports. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. So thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts and predictions on this fight, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure you subscribe, put on the notifications. I'll see you guys. Catches. Goodbye.